it's me, Mario.
And I'm Luigi.
No, you can't Barr.
No, I'm Luigi. You're Ray Wong.
Okay, here's our Switch 2 review. So we've been playing Nintendo Switch 2 for about 2 months now.
And you know what? Of all the handhelds that are out there, it's the best one.
I guess if you're into Nintendo games, this feels like a no-brainer.
Although there's one big problem that we're gonna have to get into.
But first, I think we should talk about everything that has impressed us since launch.
Obviously, first off, larger screen, IPS LCD.
7.9-inch screen versus 6.2 inches on the original Switch.
And of course, we got these cool new magnetically attached Joy-Cons.
The U-shaped kickstand is actually quite nice, I think. It's better than that gum stick one from the old Switch. You know,
That would just
super
make
flimsy.
it fall over all the time. This is also where you get the micro SD.
That's Express, so that is, you know, a newer, faster capacity memory card. And there are 2 USB-C ports now, one on the top and the bottom, both capable of charging.
It's also what you're gonna be using to plug in new accessories like the Switch 2 camera.
I guess I secretly like also the fuller sounding speakers. I feel like they're louder.
They're louder and a little bit more crisper. Obviously, it's not gonna be a pair of headphones, but what else can you really expect on a handheld this slim?
I mean, speaking of headphones, there's also a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. And you also get Bluetooth audio now built out of the box itself.
Honestly, just what we have here, it's as thin as the old Switch, and you know what? Not much heavier.
It's a Switch. It looks like a Switch. There are some like changes that are like, you know, quality of life improvements, but overall I like it.
What do you think of these magnetic Joy-Cons after you use them so often?
They're easier to connect and detach compared to the sliding mechanism. I still don't totally love the colors. You know, I'm kind of a plain, boring gray kind of guy, but it's grown on me. It's grown on me in the last 2 months.
I really want something that's a lot more pop of color, but that's going to happen inevitably. The other thing about these magnetic Joy-Cons too is that it's going to actually lead to a lot of cool modifications. I feel like we already have one that's going to be a French fry holder for your McDonald's fries.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's just going to be magnetic attachments means that you can really connect a whole lot of stuff to them. And I'm sure the modding community is going to be having a ball eventually.
Let me get that for a second. Yeah, I like this part. Like, I mean, I just like that the Joy-Cons themselves are larger.
Yeah.
So when you play like, you know, 2-player, especially in like Mario Kart, you can like get these like SL and SR buttons. They're larger, and it's just more comfortable, less cramped.
Why not plug it into this here, buddy?
I'm good with that. But overall, yeah, I like that it's just larger. And it's also just like, the whole system is really lightweight. Like, I have a Steam Deck, it's really big, it's really bulky. I know it's for ergonomics, but I like the feel of this. It fits in the bag really well, and I don't know, it looks and feels like a Switch.
Obviously, with the magnetic Joy-Cons, we got a few unique features. You know, for one, it actually acts as a mouse. So both these Joy-Cons can work on a mouse, and you know what? It's really good.
They work on your pants.
They work on your pants. The sensitivity is just right. I haven't had to really adjust anything in any of the games I've played. The one annoying thing is that it's not very ergonomic. You'll really start to feel the cramps. But honestly, this is not meant to be played continuously for hours.
Right.
This is the kind of thing that, okay, you'll play it in Civ 7, but you'll also play it in Metroid Prime 4 Beyond if it actually does come out in 2025, let's hope. But, you know, you're playing with joysticks and then you say, okay, I'm gonna do a little bit of fine precision, put it on your lap, do that, and then, you know, once you're done, go back to joysticks.
So the storage is also like vastly larger?
Yeah, 8 times technically, but then again, you're starting at a base of 32 gigs. So not a lot of space even at 256.
I mean, it's still better than like 8 gigs.
I mean, it is better than 8 gigs. The only thing is, though, you'll run out of room rather quickly if you want to go for all the big AAA releases. Let's talk about like Cyberpunk, that's about 60 gigs. Split Fiction, for some reason, is 70 gigabytes.
That's a lot.
It's a lot, and it's gonna start eating up at your space really quickly, and that's why they have the micro SD card slot.
I mean, there are so many ways to play Nintendo Switch games. You got downloads, pure digital ones, you have physical cartridges, and then you got the controversial like game key cards, and then code in a box. Like, it's kind of annoying.
So the big burning question is Joy-Con stick drift okay, or is it gonna happen again? We don't know. It's still the same potentiometer joysticks, so there's a potential there that it will happen eventually, but they added these gaskets around the joystick. So maybe it won't happen as fast. And hell, even on the Switch 2 Pro controller, these are also the same kind of sticks. So we don't know if it'll happen.
The good thing is also that Nintendo's offering free repairs, and right off the bat, they're not pretending like it's an issue that doesn't exist. So I think that's a good solution. You know,
it's something
acceptable, satisfactory. I've mostly been playing Switch 2 in handheld mode. I'm more of a portable handheld kind of guy. I definitely appreciate that it has a 1080p resolution display instead of 720p. I felt like the Switch 2 was like getting really fuzzy, especially in the later years. But you know, you seem like you've been playing in docked mode or TV mode a lot more.
Most of the time. I mean, for one, you can get it up to 4K in some games, not every game. Like Cyberpunk will still only play at 1080p. But you know what? It's performing pretty well for that. For one, it's using a custom-made NVIDIA chip, and that's going to add a couple things. It's technically capable of ray tracing, but you're not going to see that in a lot of Nintendo games. It's also technically capable of AI upscaling, so it takes a lower resolution image, makes it higher resolution while keeping the lower resolution's frame rate. But again, Nintendo games aren't going to use that. What will use that is games like Cyberpunk on the Switch, which it's a really good port. There's a couple good videos online, but basically Nintendo and CD Projekt Red, the developers, took the game, removed a couple of small details, and brought the performance up to at least 30 FPS. You're going to get in most parts of the game, except for maybe the DLC parts. And you know what? It's actually probably a better port than the one on Steam Deck, which is crazy to say.
See, that all sounds really impressive, but I buy Nintendo handhelds and systems for Nintendo games, and honestly, it's kind of like you know, the whole thing just works, you know, for Apple products, and I just don't really care. Like, I love looking at graphics, and I love, you know, admiring ray tracing and, you know, lighting effects and all that stuff. But like even Mario Kart World, like it looks so good. I'm gonna play like whatever the next Mario Wonder game is, 2D side-scrolling. It's not even gonna matter, and I don't know. For me, the graphics performance has long, like, you know, not been an issue. And yeah, I mean, I'm also playing in handheld mode, so I'm not gonna like see the 4K kind of like goodness. And also, I guess like I personally don't care about frame rates that much. I just want to play a good game. Like I play a lot of JRPGs, Final Fantasy, Pokemon, etc. I guess Pokemon, the new Pokemon, like Scarlet and Violet for Switch, like actually plays and runs and looks better on Switch 2 because
that's where it comes into it, right? I mean, the latest game that came out from Nintendo is Donkey Kong Bonanza. It's an amazing game. It doesn't look like something you would expect has a lot of graphical powerhouse behind it, but it's a fully voxel-based game. Basically, that means that the entire terrain is destructible. Think of it like a pixel represented as a 3D object. It's a lot more complicated than that, but essentially it means that DK can transform the entire terrain of the game. And that's something that the Switch one definitely wasn't capable of. They had a few levels in Mario Odyssey that were voxel-based, but they were limited. The textures weren't the same. This one has a lot more texture on the ground, on DK. It's a very interesting game because it's taking Nintendo's capabilities to make a game that's built for the system, that's fun to play, that's enjoyable, that has all this joyous atmosphere around it, but it's actually working on a technological level that's supported by the hardware. There's actually one section in the game, one boss fight, that the frame rate really dips, and you can tell because there's a lot of terrain moving at once. Obviously, the system isn't able to handle it, but there's only so few rare frame rate drops in that game, considering that what's actually happening on screen, how many little figures are, how many little pieces of terrain are flying around, all this gold, all these little physics simulations that are happening all at once. That's not something that the first Switch could do, and this one is able to handle it. For one, it's got more RAM, it's got a better processor. All that's combining so that it can actually do these things, and the game wouldn't be the same if it was on the original Switch, because they were going to make it for the Switch 1 and they said no, we're going to save it for the Switch 2. Same with Mario Kart World.
Right. Obviously, like having more performance, better specs, more RAM, all that stuff is going to enable more powerful, larger games to be built in the future, you know, years down the road. The thing that really annoys me is that people complain like, oh my God, it's only PS4 Pro level like graphics or performance. It's like about on par with like Xbox Series S. And so it's like, okay, it's like the base that developers have to work towards, and then it basically holds back all the like higher performance consoles like PS5 Pro or Xbox Series X or whatnot. And I just don't care. I just want a good game.
Yeah, and I mean, when you consider, do I really need to see every pore on Kratos' face when I'm playing God of War Ragnarok? Is that actually going to enhance my immersion? Maybe to some people, but honestly, I could take it or leave it. If I could get God of War Ragnarok running on the Switch for 30 FPS, of course I'd love it.
All right, I just plugged in the Nintendo Switch 2 camera.
And that's gonna let us activate Game Chat, this big C button that's on all this first-party controllers. So basically, this is just a Discord-like ability to kind of talk with your friends. You can talk with up to 4 friends at once, and it also allows you to use a camera.
This one is the official Nintendo Switch 2 camera. How much is this? Like $55?
Yeah.
It comes on this little stand. There's a little privacy shutter here, which I think is kind of nice. You kind of got to leave it on your media stand and you kind of sit across a room. I think the only problem I have with this thing is the resolution is not that great. It's 1080p, but it looks like
Worse.
480p.
It really doesn't look
in
that
a
good.
game. It looks really bad, like some old 90s webcam.
Which is funny because a lot of your older webcams will also work on it.
Yeah, I don't know what the requirements are, but it seems like the dumber the camera, the better it works. And if it has any kind of like special software requirements, then it doesn't work. Like any 4K cameras.
Nope.
Yeah, 4K cameras don't work, right?
In fact, we've heard of some 4K cameras that bring it all the way down to like 280p.
Yeah, like I said, the resolution isn't very good, the frame rate isn't very good, and maybe if you boot it up in Mario Kart, you'll see that the cutout is really poor.
So you can use this to zoom in on your faces.
Yeah, I'm the blue guy.
There's other games like Mario Party that also will support this. So in this case, it's just going to show us our faces on screen. And
Yeah,
you can kind of see the
yeah.
lag. That's about the same amount of lag you're actually going to see when you're doing game chat online.
Yeah. Oh, one thing we should say is that in order to use Game Chat, you need to pay for a Nintendo online
Switch Online.
online
Yeah.
subscription. So how much is that again?
It's about $50 a year.
$50 a year is not bad.
It's not the worst, but it's still one of those things that, you're going to have to spend money to actually do.
I mean, it's still better than like loading up Discord separately and like calling a friend or whatever, because that's what I used to do, like FaceTime people. That was a pain in the ass. Nintendo just has like this terrible like idea of how voice and video chat should work.
Because they're still making it for children, and they're not really.
Yeah, they got to be family friendly.
They got to be family friendly, and
Yeah.
if they start just allowing anybody to talk to anybody, well, that might get them into hot water.
There are just too many kids on the platform.
That's what ends up happening. So there's a reason that they'll never move on from friend codes. So what do you actually think of Game Chat?
I think it's a good idea, but in typical like Nintendo fashion, they just like poorly implemented it. It's too safe for the kids, for the family, and for adults who are people who can actually afford this console. Like you're gonna want more, so you may want to just go to Xbox or PS5 to be honest, if you really care about chatting online with your friends
Or
when
just
playing.
hook up Discord.
Let's talk about the games.
Yeah, we should.
It's been 2 months and a whole bunch of games have come out since launch, and more games are on their way.
They just had a direct.
You just played Donkey Kong Bonanza. Yeah, I mean, at launch it was like mostly like everyone just playing Mario Kart World and Cyberpunk 2077 and a bunch of like old Switch games, to be honest.
Old Switch games, but they did release stuff like Split Fiction, Civ 7,
Yeah.
Street Fighter 6, Hitman, the World of Assassination collection.
I didn't feel at launch like there was like a dearth of games.
I was honestly feeling pretty good just going back to Legend of Zelda, like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. They play a lot better now with the
Yeah.
upgrade packs.
Like, what is it? A lot of them like are now like update with higher resolution, better frame rates. I wasn't like paying too close attention to like how much better the frame rates were. As I said before, like I care mostly about the games themselves. So it's like care less about drop frame rates in a game, but I know that you were like, there are a lot of people that were bothered by like, Tears of the Kingdom just not playing as smoothly or responsively, even like Pokemon,
Yeah, well, Pokemon was probably the big outlier, and yes, it plays a lot better now. Like maybe an actual playable game level of better. But Mario Odyssey even, that got a free update. Not a lot's changed, but it honestly feels really good and runs very smooth.
So not every game gets a free upgrade. Is it by like default that like games are, I guess, like updated?
A lot of the games did get upgrades.
Okay.
But the one distinction between like an upgrade pack and just a free upgrade is obviously the upscaling to 4K in games like Tears of the Kingdom, and also other just quality of life improvements. For Tears of the Kingdom, they even added an app for your phone where you can connect it and kind of listen to a couple voice memories from Zelda, or like look at your map and even get like daily kind of bonus things. It's a little weird, but they did try and add value to the game.
Right.
Enough that, I mean, you get the upgrade packs for free if you buy the subscription, not saying you have to, but it's a pretty good value even if you're just buying the $10 upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like too upset about the launch library, to be honest. I think there are enough games for everybody to kind of like, try out. I think it's really like one of the games I'm most looking forward to, and obviously Nintendo's not dumb and they're not gonna like just like release all their games all in the launch window, like within the first couple of weeks. They want to save stuff for, the next month, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months in, and keep kind of that steady flow of games going,
Because they learned their lesson from the GameCube era where they just had a dearth of games.
Yeah.
It was just a drought for months. So this is the better option. And honestly, Mario Kart World is the best first game they could have released.
Yeah.
For one, like I had so many people that were just coming over to my house, like, you have Switch 2, let's play Switch 2. And you know what game is perfect for couch multiplayer is frickin' Mario Kart.
Yeah.
So smart move on Nintendo's part. But DK Bonanza was really the first launch game that you actually want. It's one of those games that's like, Game of the Year material, whatever. It's just a really fun game. It's so evocative, so much fun to play. And DK is such a great character. Pauline is such a great kind of voice in your head. She's just a young child. She's learning about herself and the world, and you're helping her along as a big, silly monkey. Honestly, it's as near perfect as I can get, even if it has major flaws.
So we've got some of these GameCube games, greatest hits. Honestly, I own all of these games on GameCube. Like F-Zero GX was like second game. Wind Waker, which is classic. Soul Calibur 2 at the GameCube edition with Link inside. And they just added Super Mario or Mario Smash Football and
or
Super Mario Strikers. I was never a big fan of these two games, but I want other GameCube games to come. So retro library, Nintendo's quickly adding to it. Honestly,
it's fast so far. I mean, it's basically been 2 months. We've gotten one new game. I'm really hoping for some deep cuts. I want something like Eternal Darkness and Ys Requiem. I want games like the Twin Snakes. Weird games that you wouldn't get anywhere else. Hell, let's get the original version of Resident Evil 4.
Ooh.
No more remake. This is the way it was originally meant to be played, with the laser sight, no reticle. Let's have the original way.
Super Mario Sunshine would be great. I mean, Melee just be like
God, if
no
Melee
brainer.
came
They
to the
sell so
GameCube,
many subscriptions.
They would sell more Switch 2s in that month that they released Melee for this.
It's coming. They're just like saving it for
a rainy day.
Yes, exactly. There's just like a lot of great games that were overlooked because sales were so poor for GameCube and everyone was on PS2 and Xbox, jumping online at a time when Nintendo just didn't care about online at all. This is a nostalgic throwback for me. There's also that like Nintendo GameCube controller, wireless like replica of the GameCube controller. And you said it's like better than the original.
It is better than the original. Well, for one, because it's new, which means that the joysticks isn't some grody, messed up thing, but it actually feels better. Like the sticks have been improved. The D-pad actually feels like a D-pad now. The bumper buttons and the triggers still have the analog goodness that you remember. So yeah, the GameCube controller is good, except it's now more expensive because, well, tariffs. And then we got Welcome Tour.
Yeah, the $10 game that should have been a pack-in. It's basically an interactive instruction manual.
You know what? It's not bad for what it was.
I agree.
If you actually play it, there's some fun mini games. And you know what? If you're not actually that tech literate, it teaches you about like 4K. It teaches you about mouse controls.
Frame rates.
It teaches you about frame rates. It teaches you about HDR.
Yeah.
Like most people don't understand a lot of that stuff. So you know what? It would make a lot of sense if you packaged it with the console.
It's really well done, I gotta admit. There are a lot of hours of honestly like gameplay, like quizzes. I know it doesn't sound like fun, like oh, you're taking quizzes and you're going around learning about the console itself and like, but there are a lot of like things that I didn't know, like how the system works itself. And I don't know, Nintendo is just so good at like distilling tech jargon into something that the layman can understand.
Yeah.
Like this is something I could have handed to my mom and be like, okay, learn about refresh rates and like 4K and like haptics and stuff like that. So I think it was really well done. Everyone seems to agree that it should have been like packed in with the console.
It should have been a Wii Sports.
Yeah, I wonder like would it have been like easier for people to like stomach if it was like $5 instead of $10? Like $10 is actually not that much.
$10 is not that much. $5 is not that much, but it's still money.
I think it's the idea of like an instruction manual that you have to pay for because that's something that should be printed or like included normally with a product,
Yeah.
Ooh. So let's talk about what we don't like about the Switch 2.
Yeah, it's the DRM.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
So what was your first experience when you first loaded up the console? Let's get into that.
Oh man, it wasn't good because I didn't realize that you needed an old Switch right next to it in order to like kind of transfer your system settings and your profile and all that stuff to set up the new Switch 2. So I had to basically run back home, bring Switch 2 to my apartment, and then like set that up because I didn't have my Switch 1 on hand.
And that was after downloading the whole update.
Yeah, that took a while, and I don't know, maybe our office Wi-Fi wasn't that great.
But that's beside the point. The annoying thing is the fact that Nintendo says we don't trust you enough to not have your console nearby in order to have your games transfer over. But then you had an even worse experience.
Oh man, don't remind me. I lost my Mario Kart 8 Deluxe game save, just like hundreds of hours over like 8 years worth of games. Remember, that was like a launch game because that was like a port of a Wii U game. And yeah, I just like messed it up somehow. It wasn't very clear to me. I think like I was trying to transfer the game to the Switch 2 and didn't realize that when it transfers from one console to another, it deletes it off the old console, and then there was a new save that was made from the cloud on the Switch 2, and that overwrote my original Switch 1 Mario Kart game save, and then it was just gone. There was no way to recover it. And other people have experienced similar, cases.
Because Nintendo doesn't trust you to have your game saves on more than one system at once. Doesn't matter if it's another Switch 2 system or an original Switch system. You can't have your saves in more than one place.
I mean, that's just not how game saves work on other consoles, like on a Steam Deck or a PC, or you're able to move your game saves however you want, and move it, and it doesn't delete from one device after moving it to another. That's just so ridiculous.
I mean, it all goes back to virtual game cards, which is Nintendo's new way of kind of sorting your games. They want to pretend even your digital downloads are also game cards. So that means if you want to transfer to the new system, you have to literally transport them. There is a way to modify that in settings, but it doesn't get rid of the problem entirely. And it just means that your games are not your own. Nintendo makes sure that you only have one copy at one time, even if you have multiple systems. Even if you bought an original Switch on launch day 8 years ago, they say, nope, you don't have more than one copy of that game unless you literally have a physical version of that copy alongside of it.
See, this is the part, like, even as a tech guy who should know all this stuff and should be able to like digest and like, figure this stuff out, I go to the support page, I'm like, it's written in this like weird language, like technical language. I'm just like, what is this? And I just basically give up. Because I'm just like, a game should just work like a game. You should be able to just pop it into your thing and that's it. It works. Your game save moves over, or you move it from memory card or whatnot, and it just doesn't. And so how do you expect like a kid or somebody who's less tech literate to figure that out.
They're
And
not going to.
I think that's the whole point. They want to scare you into not figuring it out, and then just like deal with their weird guidelines and rules, and that's how Nintendo keeps customers like buying new copies or original copies.
Yeah, I mean, because
it's framed as like you're able to share all this stuff and all this stuff, but like it's actually not that easy. It's more convoluted than it looks and sounds.
There's new features like Game Share where you can transfer a game to somebody else for a short time. I mean, that's all fine and dandy, but then you compare that to Steam, which has family sharing, where literally your library is their library. Maybe they'll change that in the future, but it is so damn convenient. I live with my brother. We have 2 separate Steam accounts, and now we can share all our games. Why can't I do that with the Switch?
I mean, that's just Nintendo, like being Nintendo. They can like do all these amazing things, like make the console like sound really well and like super satisfying to like click all these Joy-Cons and stuff, and then they give you like this like archaic kind of like old school like ridiculous ways to like work around software, and it just like frustrates you.
Yeah, the DRM, I mean, even stretches into game key cards, which is another big controversy. So essentially, all the Switch 2 games right now are going to be on those 4 different formats that we already talked about. Digital, physical game cards. Then there's code in a box, and finally game key cards.
Yeah.
Essentially, the game key card is a card, but when you plug it into your system, it doesn't have any actual game data. It's basically just a link to the download.
0 games? I thought it was like just it has some game data and then the rest is downloaded.
Essentially, it's basically that, but you can't play the game without downloading.
Yeah.
Which is, you would say, oh, that's a lot of games nowadays. Well, in this case, it's worse because, for one, that just means that if the servers ever go down for some reason, that means you can't actually play the game you bought, even though you bought the game card.
Right. Yeah, like years down the line, if the servers are gone, then you can't even download the game unless it was already downloaded.
Mm-hmm. Or if there's server issues, that means you can't download your game.
Again, the intention was good. They wanted to like give you a half step to be able to sell your games, or I guess like sell your games, right? Or give it to somebody else. But the issue really is the storage capacity of the memory cards or the game cards themselves, right? So like Nintendo, for some weird odd reason, only allows third-party developers to like get 64 gig cards, and
that's the rumor.
Those are more expensive compared to their own cartridges for their first-party games, which are lower capacity, like 32 gigs or whatnot. And so developers are basically screwed and stuck with either buying a higher capacity cartridge, and then it costs more to produce, and maybe that cost also gets passed on to consumers. And so honestly, the best thing to do is just like probably go digital, all digital, right?
Honestly, if you had the choice, maybe going all digital is not that bad. Technically, it's faster load speeds on digital.
I mean, I'm just getting I love physical. I love like physical cartridges and media, but I'm getting really annoyed. It's like sometimes you buy a Switch physical game and it just has a piece of paper with a code inside, and you're like, what's the point of even buying physical if you're gonna get a code? Why just go digital? You get the box. I guess you get the box.
You get the box, and what do you do with the box?
It's not even like
chuck it at somebody's head. Like what do you do after that?
Yeah, that's really frustrating. Nintendo, why?
Well, you know why, and I mean that just gets down to the bare fact of it is that Nintendo is still thinking in very archaic terms about digital ecosystem. They want to have their own, they want to have their walled garden.
Right.
This Nintendo walled garden that they say, you're not crossing our walled garden without paying the toll.
What are some other things that you don't like about Switch 2? For me, it's, I don't like totally hate it, but it's battery life I wish could have been better, and I get it. Handhelds are always going to be like, based on whatever games you push it for. Like, obviously Cyberpunk 2077 is going to push it a lot harder than, say, I don't know, an indie game like Stardew Valley or whatnot, or 2D side scroller or whatnot.
Yeah, but still the battery's life's not great. I mean, when you're playing Cyberpunk, you're lucky to get 2 hours. Playing a less intensive game, it might be closer to like 3 or 4. It's probably worse than the original Switch, But I mean, I mean, it's a handheld. There's only so much you can do, but it's a minor disappointment.
I mean, it's not like Steam Deck isn't that much better. Like
It's
these
really
Windows like handheld PCs are not much better. I really wish that there was like fast charging. Like
Yeah.
I don't understand why that's not like a thing. Like we have fast charging on our phones, on our MacBooks, our laptops. Like that is a stopgap solution to when you need to like, you know, get power really quickly and the battery is close to running out. And no, it's still like trickle charging, and I'm like, what the hell? So what do we think?
About your accent? I don't know. About the Switch 2? Well, I like it.
So I'm giving it 2 thumbs up from me.
I'm giving it 2 thumbs up with these gloves. Where'd these come from?
Yeah, so if you like our Switch 2 review, I'll leave a comment down below. Hit the subscribe button. Tap
Smash that notification bell.
That notification bell is really important. And check out Gizmodo.com for our full Switch 2 review and more ongoing Switch 2 coverage.